Hello, and welcome to the Grown Black Woman Success Podcast, a conversation about the joys and challenges that come with achieving success, all from a grown Black woman's perspective. I'm your host, Leslie Denman. Let's get this conversation started. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Grown Black Woman Success Podcast. And I know I say that with every episode, but it is true. Today, special guest, woman of God, Miss Katrina Lokko. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me, Leslie. I'm so excited to be here with you.
Lean in. We are talking about what it means to be a kingdom woman. What it means to be a kingdom woman. Katrina, let's just get into this. Now, when you hear the term kingdom woman, what comes to mind for you?
What comes to mind for me, Leslie, is being sold out, being all in for the kingdom, being all that God, I call him Papa, being all that Papa has called me to be, doing things his way and not my own.
That's good. I heard a couple of things there. I heard sold out and doing things his way and not our own. That can get us into some real trouble right there, because there are benefits to being a kingdom woman. But we could just be real about it. When we look at the world that we're in and we think about what it means to be a kingdom woman, and then the opposite of that would have to be what you consider that like a worldly woman, or what would you consider the opposite of a kingdom woman?
I like to say a woman who has not come into the knowledge of who he is. And I say that because he referenced Hezekiah to me and all those people that he called servant before they were actually his servants. So I believe that she just hasn't come into the knowledge of who he is.
Oh, that is so good. Now, what for the woman who may feel like she is in that vein right there, what does that woman look like who hasn't come into the full knowledge of who she is, of who he is, really who she is in him and who he is in her?
What that looks like is several things. Her life could be chaotic, and chaotic meaning because she hasn't understood that her whole surrounding, her whole lifestyle, everything about her, her eating habits, her thoughts, her words, everything about her has to line up with his thoughts, his words. So right now, if she hasn't come into the fullness of who he's called her to be, it's a very chaotic. She's confused. She doesn't quite know who she is. And so therefore, she doesn't honor herself. She doesn't honor and value others, because there's no possible way that she can without knowing the one who keeps it all together.
That's good. I'm going to throw this in there. Have you known kingdom women who fall into that category as well?
Yes, okay. There was a time in my life where I had so much going on that connection was broken between he and I. Not because he broke it, but because I got so busy. I took my eyes off the prize. I was doing my own thing. I was going about life and not including him in it. Sometimes we get to the point where we think, oh, he's with me. He's always with me. But we leave out those moments that he drew us from the beginning. And so I was that woman. I was confused. And I was like, wait a minute, I'm going to have to turn around and go back to my first love, which is him. And I'm going to have to allow him to heal me and cleanse me in areas that have been tainted. So yeah, we can, as kingdom women, we're not immune to slipping or falling back. We're not immune.
Oh, that's good, because I saw the differentiation in that. A woman who has not come into the acknowledgement of who he is and who she is in him, there is this unawareness that keeps us from stepping fully into what it means to be a kingdom woman. And then as kingdom women, we can still experience that same lack of clarity and confusion that you were talking about, but it is because we have chosen to become disconnected because we have gotten busy with just life and the things of life.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yes,
okay.
Absolutely.
I wanted to make sure I make that distinction because it's important for us to understand that it can happen to the best of us, and even and it's important because, as you said, in this journey that we're on, it's not going to always be rosy.
And we're always going to have to make sure that we do our part to stay truly connected, because like you said, God is not really going anywhere. He's holding his territory. He's holding his position, and he's just waiting for us and yearning for us to become more intimate with him.
Yes,
That's
always.
Good. That's good. Now that we've talked about the differentiation, let's talk a little bit more. Let's get down to some characteristics, because some women who desire to become kingdom women might not know where to start and what to do. Let's just talk about what a kingdom woman looks like, because I know you had those moments where you met a kingdom woman. Like you haven't, she hasn't even said anything, but just when she's in your presence, there is such a presence about a kingdom woman that even if you don't know her name, you know that she is representing the kingdom. Have you had that type of experience?
Oh, absolutely. I was born and raised around those type of women. And it always, being younger, you don't quite know what that is. And you're thinking, well, they're just a do-gooder, or look at them. And why is my grandmother saying this? And why is she doing that? Well, nobody wants that. It's because I didn't understand, but I was around it. And it was that same power that broke all that other stuff off me. So we need those women.
Yes. I'm telling you, I'm a country girl and I grew up like that. It's like and I share this all the time. When we were growing up, we had this generation of women that we could look to and think, okay, that's what it means to be a grown Black woman. That's what it means to be grown. It's like you're not really grown until you have reached this. And it wasn't even about a material thing. That's the beautiful thing about it. It was just about a presence. It's about just wisdom and overcoming things.
Absolutely.
I love that. So let's talk about some characteristics. What are some characteristics that you can share with us from your perspective of what it means to be a kingdom woman?
Well, one characteristic that's my all-time favorite is the way that she cares for other women that we talked about earlier that haven't come into their own, the way she cares for them, the way she instructs them, the way she nurtures them, so that they can see her as the example and desire to be like that. But also understanding she has no power to draw them, but the living one on the inside of her, because she spent time with him, is the one that's drawing them. So the characteristic of being able to nurture other women without any preconceived notions, without assumptions, without, like you said, thinking, oh, I'm better than this one, I'm better than that. Well, I don't have time for that one, or I don't have time for this one. Just knowing who she is and that the power on the inside of her can reach them. That is enough right there. That is it.
That is true. And if we as women can make that shift to step fully into what it means to be a kingdom woman, the change that we could truly make in the kingdom, like seriously.
Yeah.
It just blows my mind sometimes how we allow. Now, this may be a little, maybe a little controversial, because I know that is, but kingdom women, and I want to say this without being too offensive, but I know me and you, we can just really have some girl talk around this. But just being a kingdom woman the way God intended, as opposed to what man's assumptions are. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Have you ran into some of those assumptions as you stepped into your role and your position as a kingdom woman?
Absolutely. Because you know what? I don't look the part. I didn't fit the part. I don't have no acronyms, synonyms, no initials behind my name, after my name. I'm just me. And so when people see you, they don't look at the spiritual. They look at what you can or cannot offer in the natural. So you're passed over, or you are rejected, or people don't see you that way. But what they don't understand is when they do people like that, whether it's me or anybody else, you're missing some key things that you need to get past, because you never know who God is using for your life. And if you discount it, just like you remember when Samuel came looking, he came looking, and he kept asking him, he said, do you have any more sons? Because although these boys, and I'm paraphrasing, these boys look good, they may have a PhD, they may have just been good warriors, but that still ain't it.
Is there another?
Another one. And when he seen David looking all scraggly and torn and, working out in the field, probably smelling and everything, he's like, now that's him. Now that is him. And just like Jesus asked the apostles when he sent them to John the Baptist, there's like, well, we didn't see nobody. We just seen this old raggedy man. And he asked him, well, what were you expecting to see?
Right.
What were you expecting to see?
Right.
So we look with our eyes, and we think with our minds, they need to have this PhD, TPS, or whatever you want to call it in order to fit this kingdom mold. Has nothing to do with the kingdom. We can't take that. Our PhD ain't going to work in heaven. It's not even accepted. And I don't knock anybody from having all that. I, clap for them. But we have to get to what's really important. And that's our heart towards the kingdom. That's our heart living a kingdom lifestyle. So yes, you encounter it more than you know. People assuming that you don't fit the mold or they don't fit the mold. So they can't be in our clique. And that's not kingdom.
Not kingdom at all. Because if we were to look at it that way, some of the most spiritual advice and wisdom that I've received has been from my big mama, my aunts, and people who had no position or no PhD, no initials behind their name, anything. But they got in their word, they studied their word, and they lived a kingdom lifestyle. And those are some of the people that have had the greatest and deepest impact in my life. My father was one. My mom was one. There are no initials behind their name, but they poured into me what they genuinely felt and believed about God. And they allowed me to take that, glean from that, and develop my own relationship. But they made sure that they cultivated the ground to make it easy for what they planted in me to grow. And that's what I love about being a kingdom woman. And you know that you're in the presence of a kingdom woman when they add value to your life. Like we add more value than, and I'm again not trying to offend anybody, but we add more value than getting your coffee, getting your water, making sure your robe is clean, making sure you got your breakfast, making sure you get dinner. We have more to offer in the kingdom than those types of roles that women have traditionally played in the church. It's like we are so much greater than that if you give us the opportunity to truly serve in the capacity as a kingdom woman. Because when I look at Genesis, and I was looking at Genesis 1 and 26 and 27, and I'm reminded of this. I don't think God was confused when he said this, but he did say when he created them, he said, let them rule. Now, he did say them for those who feel like women have a place, but in the beginning, before man got all in it, before Satan got all in it, God was clear on his intention. Man, he didn't create man first and then say, let man rule. Come on. And then created the woman. No, he created them both. And matter of fact, he created man from the dirt. But hey, we didn't come from the dirt. We came from a real, you know what I mean? A living thing. And then he said, we're going to create them in our image. So we need to let them rule. So I sometimes I get confused about that because I know people like to go to other scriptures and everything. But when I'm looking at God's original intent, I'm empowered as a kingdom woman. And I'm sharing it to every kingdom woman that's listening to us now. Baby, we were created to rule. That's what it means. A kingdom woman adds value. A kingdom woman has presence by herself. Which means that, and being careful when I say this, girl, we got to be careful because we ain't trying to fit nobody. But that don't mean we got to come into like the mother of the church when we not, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know what I'm saying, Katrina? We have a little, something about ourselves, but all done tastefully because nothing against the mothers either. Do what works for you. But a lot of times people have this, because we got to challenge these norms. You know what I'm saying? People have ideas of what a kingdom woman looks like. And it's like, honey, each one of us is different. Each one of us have been blessed with unique gifts, shapes, and all of that. And we're here to represent. You hear me?
Yes. And you don't have to have a certain position or it could be anybody. A stay-at-home mom taking care of her kids can be a kingdom woman. She doesn't have to be in the capacity of the church. She doesn't have to, because ministry is out here.
Yes.
It's out here. It's in your home. It's, so wherever you call to serve, being that kingdom woman, do that.
Yes, because the goal is for us to do one thing, and that is to advance God's kingdom for his
Yeah.
glory. Making sure that your children know the word of God, making sure they
Yes.
understand. When you're on your job, it don't mean you gotta be in there slinging holy oil everywhere, but just treating people right, showing
That's
people
right.
what the kingdom looks like, what a kingdom citizen looks like. It's easy to treat people right, and whoo, I
Yeah.
can say this now because I've grown so much. It's easy to treat people right when they treat you right, but it's when people don't treat you right that you have to be quiet and
Oh,
let
yeah.
God fight your battles for you. Now, have you had any of those moments, woman of God?
We'll be here for 10 more years on this interview. Yes, I've had those moments. I've had those moments. And see, I was that child, Lord help me. I was that child that was very opinionated and very boisterous.
No,
And,
Katrina,
you
not
know,
you.
yeah, very like, no, you're not going to do this to me. Or I would fight your battle, my battle, everybody else's battle. But when Papa started really grooming me for the kingdom, I had to learn to keep my mouth shut. And it was so hard because I was like, but Lord, if I just reach over and lay hands, not the spiritual way,
Yes.
lay hands on somebody, I know you'll forgive me tomorrow. And he's like, we need to even rid you of that type of thinking. But it is hard. It is very hard. We encounter it and we're not going to stop encountering it. So it does get easier. It gets easier, but it still hurts. But it does get easier to bear because you know that it's his battle. It's not yours. And they're doing it against him and not you.
Yes, that's true. Because the whole thing about being a kingdom woman, the first thing, just like you said, it's a complete surrender of your will, your desire, and turning it over to God.
Yes.
It's not, and a lot of people may think that that's like a boring way to live and stuff, but it's really not. It's really not. There is so much joy, and you actually experience more joy and more peace when you do it that way, because it's like, I don't have to worry about it. Like, seriously. I don't have to worry about it. God got it. And even if it don't work out the way that I think it should or the way I want it to, it's still going to work out for my good in the end. So I can't lose. And when we can
either way.
like when we can really, I don't know if I shared this with you or not, but I've been diagnosed with breast cancer 3 times. And after the first time when he said he got me, I really, it was like he said, you should live and not die. That was the end of it. Like me really dwelling on it. Now, do I have moments? Absolutely. But like really dwelling on it? No, I don't. Because God got me. Because even if I transition, I'm still going to a better place. Have you had an opportunity to kind of speak with some young women about what it means to be a kingdom woman?
I have. It starts at home. My own daughter, her friends, she would always have friends over, nieces, nephews, and people that I meet on the street, just talking to them in Walmart and parking lot. And I love it because when we can get them when they're young, just plant that one seed, it could stop a young girl from wasting the rest of her life or throwing her life away. And it is awesome to see the outcome. And I've been blessed to see the outcome of some of these women now that they're grown. And I'm like, thank you, God, for just giving me that seed to give to them and somebody else watering it. And he gives the increase. And it's a blessing to see that. Yes, I love it.
And have you had an opportunity to walk some of these women through some of the challenges and helping them to, as we say, stay in the kingdom?
Yes, we had a deliverance team at our church back in Tennessee. And that's what it was. Each person was assigned a person that, have been through some things and overcame. And so just walking with them in these journeys and helping them change their lifestyle. Because a lot of time you can't go back to your same lifestyle when you're coming out of something, and just doing life with them and being available for them when they need it, praying for them and helping them come up with a solution to keep them on the straight and narrow, so to speak, like with drugs and alcohol and coming out of different sexual orientations, just helping them really cope with everyday life after that. Because when you've lived for years with something, an addiction, or just something that you thought was a belief, and now you have to live differently. Now you have to figure out how that's going to work for you every day of your life. You have to be committed to walking with people.
Yeah, that's good. That's a great word to add to that, is be committed to walking with people, because you said something else that I thought was very crucial, is that you can't go back to the old way of life. And that is, I think, is one of the challenges that new converts face. They know that where they are and what they've been doing has not been working. They desire this new thing. But where you were, they had systems in place, ministries in place to walk alongside these people.
Yes.
And it's really ultimately up to them to take advantage of that ministry and, allow someone to walk alongside you. But then to that woman, and I want you to kind of speak to that woman now who feels like she doesn't have that support, like she really desires to really be a kingdom woman. She's seen some kingdom women. She desires to have that type of presence about herself. What are some things that you would say to her when she's feeling like there's no one there to walk alongside her, such as what you had when you got your deliverance team? How can she get her own deliverance team, and what does that look like for her?
First of all, I will have to tell her, understand that nobody can deliver you. Nobody can change you but Papa. Nobody can. And so, and he is the one that'll send those people that you need, tailor-made for you. But I would just pray. That's what I did. I said, Lord, send who you need to send for me. All my deliverance and healing came in my private time with him. It came in him dealing with my heart, dealing with some things. But he also brought people alongside, and I knew to pray for those people. So I'm telling that woman now, pray for the people that are called to walk this out with you, because he will send them. But most importantly, it's that quiet time with him. Maybe you don't have to say nothing. Just sit there and cry, or just sit there and just say, hey, I'm just going to sit right here until you show up. And he will do it, because he will honor that, because you're asking him to do something that he already wants to do. He wants to help you live a life according to his will. So he's got to show up. Everything is on his name that he shows up. So he's going to show up.
That's good. That's good. And to every kingdom woman listening, those experiences that you've had that you may be a little fearful of sharing, just know that there is a woman that needs what you have. You went through it to share it. As we're talking to the woman who's looking and praying, she very well may be praying for you, and it's up to you to decide to step into the new and the next for you. And many times we are kingdom women and we have gotten so comfortable playing a role. And God is always up to something, always up to something. And so the minute you get comfortable is the minute that I found, and Katrina, you can let me know if this happened to you too. The minute you get comfortable, God will send something to disrupt that thing.
Ooh, yes, he will. He will.
And I've gotten to the point that I don't even ask no more. I just be like, I got comfortable somewhere. So let me just look around and see. Because God is always up to something. He's always working his will out for our lives. Like we haven't, if you haven't transitioned on, we have yet to fulfill everything that he has for us. We're continually going from glory to glory. When we think about what it means to be a kingdom woman, if you are not looking back to see the people that God has called, that assigned specifically to you, if you don't see them, then you probably need to, what they need to do, Katrina? I'm not even going to speak on that. Well,
if they're not seeing the people that they're called to, they may not be in alignment with where they're supposed to be. That's happened to me plenty of times. I'm like, well, who am I supposed to help? And he told me, you need to get in position. When you get in position, that's where they'll be.
Woo!
And I was like,
he tell you that?
I thought I was. Woo, honey, yes. He told me that. He will tell you.
Yes.
I'm like, oh.
You
when you get in
him,
position, that's where they'll be. Yes.
Yeah, you looking for him, and God like, well, you ain't where you supposed to be. I'm where you supposed to be.
Yeah.
Okay, how about that?
Yes. Yeah.
So, young woman, I hope that you have gleaned something from this conversation. We are having a very, candid and open and honest conversation about what it really means to be a kingdom woman. I'm thankful to Katrina Lokko for being here. And we're just kind of talking about just what it means to be a kingdom woman and the characteristics of a kingdom woman and how she adds value and the presence of a kingdom woman. And that presence doesn't necessarily have to do with so much the material and the external part of her life, but it's just about how she carries herself, the anointing and the energy of her space when she shows up or when she speaks. And just how she deals and engages and handles other people. You just know by looking at her that there is something special and unique about her. And that's what we are all striving for, because I can just name a couple of women off the top of my head that when I saw them, immediately I knew, before I knew anything about them, I knew that they were kingdom women. Before I even knew the term officially, what a kingdom woman was, I just knew that there was something special and unique and different about them. And another thing I would say too, Katrina, you tell me, a kingdom woman, even though you may not like her per se, you must respect her. Have you found that to be true?
Absolutely. And you better pray that you learn to like her. Because if there's something you don't like about somebody, and I've learned this, many years ago, my mom used to tell me, well, if there's something you don't like about somebody, it's not them, it's something broken in you. You need to fix you because it's broken in you. Because if you are a kingdom woman, we all have flaws. Somebody else got flaws and you don't like them because of their flaws, you're out of order. Because you're supposed to love them unconditionally with their flaws and let God deal with their flaws. But it's something broken in you that is causing you to want to dislike them. And it's so true.
I was thinking about you saying, the flaws, and DMX immediately came to my mind. When he passed away, this is how much I really respected and admired DMX. My daughter called me and it's like, Mom, are you okay? And I was like, I'm getting there, because it was shortly thereafter, a few weeks before our bishop had passed. And so I was already in a space, and then to hear this, and what I loved about DMX, never met him personally, anything else, but what I loved about him is kind of what you just said. He was vulnerable, open, and transparent about his struggles. And even in the midst of that, this man loved God for real.
Yes.
He did not allow what he was going through, his struggles. He actually used that to just say, even with everything I'm going through, God still loves me. He was like, and he believed what he read in that word for real. And he would share it like it was nothing. People would come and want to meet DMX, and DMX would introduce him to the Father. I'm telling you, it was beautiful. And I said, this man, is more anointed than some people in the pulpit that preach Sunday after Sunday and been there for 30, 40, 50 years. This man was truly a kingdom citizen for real. Like and he didn't allow he didn't allow people to shame him. Sometimes we can shame people when they're going through.
Right. And that's wrong. Yes, you can't shame people to come into the kingdom.
Okay.
Can't fear them either. This is not a fear-based gospel.
Exactly. And I'm
Nor
I don't
shame.
know how we can get to, because I'll admit, when I was younger in the faith, I was a bit judgmental. I was on fire. I was passionate, and I didn't have a lot of experiences. So to me, it was easy to it's easy to speak on things you're not struggling with, you ain't going through. But fast forward some years now, I get it and I understand. And when I read that word and I see that God really used those that other people thought were less than. And I'm like, and we have to be real careful about that when we're in the kingdom. Sometimes we've been saved so long, we forget where God met us at.
That's right. Wouldn't Paul say, such were some of you?
Yes. and we do more harm to people than that. And I've looked at his life and I'm like, this man, every time I'm looking at this man, he just spoke his truth. And you will find very few clips of where this man did not begin to acknowledge God in wherever he was and whatever he was doing. You could rest assured a few minutes later, something about God was going to come up in it. And then some of us talk to people every day and we scared to bring up God's name. Come on now.
Yes.
Whew,
Oh,
okay,
yes.
I'm gonna get off that one for a minute. I'm gonna get off that for a minute. I'm talking with Katrina Lokko. We're talking about what it means to be a kingdom woman. And Katrina, I'm telling you, I have just enjoyed. I knew this was gonna be a good conversation. I have enjoyed you. So share with me your journey, as much as you want to share. This kind of led you to this point where you can really say that you are a kingdom woman.
My whole life required me to depend on Papa like 100%. When I was younger, I had a very serious eye condition, and they labeled me as clinically and legally blind. I'm not now. I wear glasses, but I'm not. That diagnosis just, God healed me. Just put it that way. He literally healed me because it was really bad. But not only that, I had a speech impediment because I wasn't hearing correctly, and I had to take speech classes and a lot of things going on, And so they labeled me as mentally retarded or high functioning autism. They told my mother a bunch of stuff, and my mom was like, no, absolutely not. So then later, when they discovered it was because I had missed so much from not being able to see or hear that it just caused me to be behind. And so I had to play catch up. For many years, had to play catch up, and I did catch up. But in the midst of all of that, I would have to rely. I met this lady years ago when I was young, and she told me, and I didn't understand fully, but as I grew, I did. She was like, because of what you've missed, you really are just going to have to rely on the Spirit to teach you. And I remember thinking, well, how is that possible? He's going to come in my room or come? What does that look like? And so when I really discovered what that looked like, I was like, oh, and I didn't realize that he was talking to me the whole time, but I didn't know that. So I had to develop at a very young age a sense of spiritual realm because I had no natural senses, so to speak, your eyes, your ears. I had no natural senses. So I really had to rely on God. And I always just relied on him. So as I got older, I kept drawing further and further. You become a teenager, you become an adult, and you want to go your own way. You want to have fun. You think the world is better than him. And so when I finally had to come back, because he always drew me, every time I try to go like this, he would not let me. I promise you, Leslie, he would not get me so far. And I would literally try. I wanted to do the stuff, I'm out here, I'm in the nightclubs, I'm having a good time. And it was like, even some of that stuff would be like, no, you can't do that. It just would never happen for me. And so I'm like, wow. So he's had his hand on me his whole life, and I've had to rely on him totally. Everything I do, I have to rely on him because I have no knowledge. I have no wisdom. He has it all. And if I want my life to go in a certain direction, and if I am called, this is what I said, and if I am called to help others, I don't want to lead them down a path that is not good for any of us. So I have to let him be my eyes and my ears and my tongue. He has to do that. So we've developed this relationship. That's why I call him Papa. He's my best friend. I mean, I literally sit and talk to him every second of my day. And the more I come into the knowledge of him, it's something new to learn. It's always something new and exciting. And we do life together. We go on dates and we go to the movies together. I take him everywhere I go because he's in me. He's not outside. He's in me. He is literally in us, living and breathing. And he wants to live outside of us to other people. For us to touch other people and pray for other people and share that life that he's living on the inside of us with others. And so that's how I'm able to get up and go every day and understand that, okay, they're not hurting me. They're hurting him, or they're hurting me because they're hurting. So I'm gonna have to look at the situation different. I could get mad. I could assumption. I'm not gonna put my mouth on nobody. I'm not gonna gossip. I'm not gonna do any backbiting. Hearsay. I can't do any of that, because the Holy Spirit, when I try to step and get outside of his norm, he's uncomfortable in me. And he's like, whoops. Sit back down. Don't say that. Don't go there. Don't do that. And it's hard sometimes, but it's worth it, because it's his life that needs to be lived in us and through us.
And it's so true. I can remember looking at certain people and not knowing their story and forming kind of judgments and stuff. And then some kind of way, whether it's a week later, a month later, sometimes it's years later, having conversations with people, and they share what they were going through at the time. And then you feel a little level of conviction because you judge rather than really taking the time to ask questions and be a source of inspiration and hope. And God brought them across your sight, and he brought them into your view for you not to judge them, but for you to see them the way he sees them. And that's something else I think that as kingdom women, we have to be mindful of as well. Sometimes God brings people into our sight and into our thought, not for us to be judgmental, but to pray for them and to reach out to them as a representation of the kingdom. And just, I was thinking about you. How are you doing? And don't let them get away with it. I'm fine, or I'm okay.
Right.
You got to go deeper, because this is a divine encounter. And you never know where God, again, God is always up to something. And you never know what happens when you really step out of yourself and really step into how God sees this person. Remove all of your conceptions, your prejudices, your biases, your assumptions, and just see this woman, this man, this child for who they are, God's child, and really show genuine concern about them. See, kingdom women, they know this. They understand this.
Yes, they do.
That's why we could walk in and Big Mama could just look at us and already know what's going on. Not because she was Big Mama, but because she was looking at us through the lens of love. Like, this is God's child. Yes. And even in your wrong, they will correct you. Our bishop used to say, tell me I'm wrong in love. Don't tell me I'm wrong the wrong way. Tell me I'm wrong the right way. That way I can receive
love. Yes.
And kingdom women must learn to do that. And it's not always easy. It is not. And that's right. But it is doable. It is doable when you get self out of the way. And that is the biggest struggle that many of us have when we really begin to represent the kingdom. It's just giving over of self. Yes. Just get out the way, honey. Let God do what God gonna do.
Yeah. It's gonna be better. The little life that you trying to hang on to, the little dream that you trying to hang on to, are nothing compared to what he really has for you. So just move out of his way.
Yes. Just having a chit chat, you guys. We're just kingdom women talking about what it means to be a kingdom woman, and just sharing our unique journeys and our perspective of what it means to be a kingdom woman. In the kingdom, what roles are you currently playing?
Media has always been, I've always had a love for media. I'm 53. Well, I'll be 53 in a few days. But
happy early birthday.
Thank you. I always had a love for media, drama, skits, plays, I write, I have a talk show. I mean, I just always loved it, but I never knew then how to have an income. The big thing was go to Hollywood, go to Hollywood, go to Hollywood. Well, it was hard to get into Hollywood though in those days. So I just settled for a job. But when I began to find out who he was and discovered who I am and what my purpose was, he started steering me back toward media. He told me, through you, I'm going to shift the airways through voice and sound. And I was like, well, what does that mean? And I put it on the shelf. And then years later, it came to pass. He started directing me back toward media. I started writing more skits and drama. I've always wrote and journaled and wrote books and stuff, but he started putting me out there more in publishing and media and talk shows and magazines, just a love for it. So media is the tool that he uses me in. It's always been media. And I've always tried to go other directions, but it always come back to media.
How have you been able to share the gospel through the media, specifically like the media platform? I guess I should say, have you found it challenging to share the gospel, the kingdom experience, the kingdom agenda in the various media platforms?
No, I just speak. I don't. It would be, I'm going to tell you, the trouble was me trying to figure out how much to say. And he was like, open your mouth, I will fill it. That's been the only problem, because I told him a long time ago, I only want the people that I'm called to talk to. Those are the platforms I only want to be on, because anywhere else will challenge you not to talk about your faith, not to talk about him. But I can't see, because that's my life. He's my life, my whole life. And I cannot ever tell my story. I can never go anywhere or do anything without talking about him. I ask people, you got a husband, you've been married to him for 40, 50, 60 years. Do you ever show up and not talk about him? Do you ever show up and not give him credit for anything that he's ever done for you? And I'm not about to do that with him. So if it challenges me to not bring him, then guess what? I'm not coming. And so with that being said, that's why I created my own media platforms, because I dictate what he gets to do on there. Not that I'm ruling over him, but I can just say, okay, let me move out of your way and you do what you want, because this actually belongs to you. I'm just overseeing it. So no, it's not challenging. The only challenging thing is if you allow it to challenge you to keep your mouth shut.
I like that. Let's spill a little tea real quick. Ask you a question. What is a false narrative that you would like to set straight when it comes to being a kingdom woman?
Wow. I think it's back what we talked about earlier. You know, a lot of people think she looks good, she smells good, and we should do that. I'm not saying that we should. She looks good, she smells good, she's got it all together. Nothing ever bothers her. She never hurts. Oh, she's very strong. But really, those are stuff that we put on them. When truth be told, with a kingdom woman, it's not about being strong. It really isn't. It's about him being strong in our weaknesses. It's about allowing him to hold us and love us in those moments where we are weak. So it's not that we're strong. It's just that we trust him. We give it to him and we come out appearing as, hey, we got it together and we're strong. But in actuality, in the private time with him, there's snot, there's tears, you know, and sometimes we get mad. Sometimes I said, okay, I'm just really angry at you, Papa. And I tell people that, it's like, oh my God, you told, yes, because he's my Papa. He already knows what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling. He knew that beforehand. So I'm like, I'm really mad at you right now. And I really don't want to talk to you, but I don't think I have a choice. Do I have a choice? So it's in those times where everybody think you're so strong and think you got it all put together. You really don't none of us, but it's because we allow him to be that strength. That's how we can keep moving. That's how we can keep going day by day. It's his strength. It's not ours. So that false narrative that she got it all together, don't nothing bother her. No, that's false. They're just not telling you what's wrong with them, but that's a false.
That's true.
Yeah. But could
true.
they even tell? Sometimes women feel like, and men feel like you can't tell because they don't want you telling everybody else, you know?
Girl, that's a whole nother conversation.
No.
But that is like so true. Like some of us are like bad refrigerators. We can't hold nothing. Like we feel
Yes.
like we gotta hang up the phone and go tell somebody what somebody just shared with you, rather than hanging up the
Yeah.
phone, falling on your knees, praising God that you are living a life that people feel comfortable and vulnerable enough to come in your
Yes.
presence and bear their dirty laundry. That is an honor that is not bestowed upon everybody. And I'm telling you, when it happens
Exactly.
in my life, I am like truly humbled. And then I pray this prayer. This is something I learned a long
Mm-hmm.
time ago. God, please let me forget everything that they just shared with me, so I'm not
Oh,
tempted to repeat it out of anger, spite, or any of those things that the enemy
yeah.
can use to help you break confidence. Oh
Yes.
my goodness, that's a whole
Yeah.
nother conversation. Katrina, what would people be surprised to know about you?
Okay. I would have to say is a lot of people don't know that I write movies, dramas, skits, and plays, and most of them don't know that I pastor and minister in other countries via, Zoom, and it used to be Skype, but now we have Zoom, and now we have private groups. So I think that would be it. It's nothing that I really try to keep, but at the same time, I don't think a lot of people know that about me.
That's interesting. International kingdom woman. All right, now go ahead. So I'm always interested to learn how my guests rock their real grown womanness. So how do you rock your real grown womanness in the kingdom? Stiletto, wedges, or sneakers?
Wedges, I love wedges.
Okay. Dress, power suit, or jeans?
I love dresses.
Dresses. Okay.
Yeah.
I can kind of see that. I can kind of see you.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So matte, glossy, or lip gloss?
I lip gloss.
Right. I have enjoyed you. I love learning these things, and I like to see how close I am. I was on point with you. I was on point with you. I'm like, I don't see her in stilettos, but I can see her rocking them if she had to now. I can see that.
Yeah, if I have to, yeah.
I'm glad to know I was on point with you. I was on point. Like, yes. So, Katrina, again, I have enjoyed this conversation. Just some real woman to woman kingdom talk about what it means to be a kingdom woman. So, for those who are listening, how can they learn more about you?
They can follow me on Instagram. I do little quick clips on Instagram, so they can go over at Katrina Lokko and just start following me there. And once they get there, when I have different stuff going on, I usually put it on that platform. And then they can go to my website, KatrinaLokko.com, and see information about me up there and what I have going on.
Okay. Now, the Katrina, Katrina,
Yes.
and then Lokko, Lokko. Right?
Correct.
Katrina Lokko.
Yes.
All right. You have any thing upcoming that you want to share?
Not at this time. We're still in the work, so I don't have anything solid that I have. But they can always come and see if when I'm having workshops, trainings, any conferences. I'm putting together a conference now, so that would be the next big thing that's coming up. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Katrina, any closing words you want to share with the women about what it means to be a kingdom woman?
I think we've talked about it, Leslie, and I just really, really appreciate it and had a very good time with you. And I would just tell every kingdom woman, it's okay not to be perfect. It's okay to have mistakes. Just allow Papa to fix those mistakes, because we go through so much, and just don't wear the labels of the world, and you'll be good.
That is so true. And I hope you've enjoyed this conversation as much as we have. And until the next one, stay bold, stay beautiful, and stay blessed. Thanks for tuning in to the Grown Black Woman Success Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others. Post it on social media. And to really show me some love, leave a positive rating and review. Be sure to visit grownblackwomansuccess.com to stay in the know of products and services we're offering to help you attract massive success into your life. To catch all the latest from me, you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook at The Leslie Denman. Thanks again for tuning in. I'll see you next time.